Mr. President.
Senator from Washington.
Mr. President, I want to thank my colleague from Washington State who's made a really important case, and I want to be here today to add my opinion as well, because over the past 2 months, we have heard a lot about President Trump's plan to drain the swamp, which is to, I think, reject special interests and the corporate elite, and instead fight for workers across our country. Whole lot of claims, whole lot of promises, all great. Fighting for workers is what this Congress should be doing. But the President's actions speak a lot louder than his words, and I find it telling that we are here again debating yet another cabinet nominee sent over from the White House, this time Governor Rick Perry, whose interests have been more closely aligned with those of big oil and corporations rather than advancing our country's energy challenges or fighting for the working families that we represent. So let me be clear. If confirmed to head up the Department of Energy, Governor Perry would join the ranks of other unqualified candidates chosen by this president to lead critically important agencies with very specific and complex functions. It's a big job. And I believe that getting the top spot at the Department of Energy or anywhere else in the president's cabinet should not simply be a prize for demonstrating loyalty during an election. Getting the job should be born of a solid understanding of the agency, a respect for the tens of thousands of workers they would lead, and most importantly, a commitment to putting families across the country first. So as a voice from my home state of Washington, where DOE's presence is extremely important, I will vote no on Governor Perry's nomination, and I urge my colleagues to do the same. Mr. President, Washington State is home to the Hanford Nuclear Reservation near the Tri-Cities. Nearly 75 years ago, this region underwent a dramatic transformation, practically overnight, and under top-secret conditions to help the United States win World War II and later the Cold War. Families and workers in this region of our state sacrificed immensely for the good of our country and the safety of our world. And to this day, there is a massive environmental impact in the Tri-Cities created by decades of nuclear weapons production. Now, this cleanup effort is vital, not only to the health and safety of families and workers and the economy in Central Washington, but also for communities along the Columbia River. And as I've told anyone elected to president, whether Democrat or Republican, it is the federal government's moral and legal obligation and responsibility to clean up Hanford. Now, Madam President, I know that's not an easy feat, but it is essential, and it requires a very deep understanding of a very large and complex cleanup project and a great deal of respect for the workers who show up each day to make progress on this massive project. And I remain deeply concerned that Governor Perry and this administration fail to grasp what's at stake. I'm also concerned they don't get the importance of another national asset not far from Hanford, the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. For more than 50 years, the men and women at PNNL have been on the forefront of scientific discovery. So it was originally created to support research and development at Hanford, but PNNL has become DOE's premier chemistry, environmental sciences, and data analytics national lab, tackling some of our nation's most complex and urgent challenges. PNNL is a leader in atmospheric research, nuclear detection, and non-proliferation, and the nation's electric grid. And its researchers have taken on everything from high-performance computing to advanced biofuels to analyzing lunar samples from NASA. These are critically important functions that advance our nation. Now, I have worked hard with the entire Washington State congressional delegation, not to mention a whole host of leaders at the local and state level, to support this vital research and development hub and its incredible workforce. Just like the workers at Hanford, they also deserve leaders in this administration who respect and value their work. So if President Trump was truly looking out for workers across our country, he would take this nomination to the Energy Department very seriously. Now, I understand Governor Perry gave his word during his confirmation hearing that he would work with us and even come to Washington State to visit Hanford and PNNL. And if he's confirmed by the Senate, you can bet I will hold him to that. Because one thing I have learned in the short 40-plus days of this administration is we do get a lot of words, but it is the action that truly matters. Thank you, Madam President, and I yield the floor.